Here to talk about taming back to school anxiety for parents and kids is our friend and clinical psychologist Dr. Rich Hall, because we all feel it. The parents, we were just talking about all the things you have to kind of get done and keep track of, but let's talk about the kids first. So there's a difference probably between having the normal back to school jitters and then having an actual anxiety maybe issue. Can you talk a little bit about what are some of the warning signs of anxiety in kids?
Yeah, a lot of times anxiety is just, as we sort of know in adults, it's when they can't stop their mind from thinking. And a lot of times when it's children, it's particular fears that come up over and over again repetitively, particular sort of statements and thoughts that they're sort of circling back around to, or it's like this imaginative ability to sort of see outcomes, particularly negative outcomes, where you're like, well, why did you even come up with that? My daughter's really good at coming up with creative, no, that never would happen. But they're sort of caught up in that fear and that anxiety, and it feels so real to them that as a parent, you have to do the job of kind of working to reassure them. And when you realize that that process of just talking them through it isn't enough, maybe you realize they might need a little bit more help to manage their anxiety.
What are some of those signs that you would see? Like there's kind of the normal, my son's nervous about his teacher, or meeting new kids in his class that he doesn't know, versus what are some of the red flags where you think this is maybe we really need to get some help with this? Kind of taking it to another level.
Essentially noticing if it keeps coming back around. Like we just had this conversation and yet you're still worried about it and you're worried about it. And it seems like it's really freaking the kid out, right? Like they're having what seem like sort of large physical or emotional reactions to something. That's when you start to realize this is a bigger problem than just a regular worry. They are now becoming overwhelmed with the worry about this thing. Also, they might have somatic issues, so like tummy aches a lot, sweating, a lot of those like physical complaints and symptoms that might tell you, hey, this seems like a little bit more than just they're concerned about this. It's causing them physical harm, that they have difficulty sleeping, like all those sort of physiological disruptions along with the emotional disruptions.
And then it might be time to reach out and find
get
some
more help and support.
Okay. What about parents? Some of us there's so much to be anxious about, how do we make sure that we're maintaining our balance of thinking about these things but not letting it show too much, or what are some tips for us?
Yeah, one psychologist that I read said it's a little bit like being a lighthouse in the storm, right? It's already going to be a big transition for a child, but one of the things that you have to do as a parent is you're kind of their role model for how they learn to understand their own anxiety and situation. So if you can work to remain calm and display sort of an outside calm, then that can help them to co-regulate, right? To look through you. And that's one of the reasons that you'll often know they're in distress, is because they look at you and they can see, well, I'm in distress, and they'll show you because they can be vulnerable with you, but they might not show it to like their siblings or whatever. Being able to check yourself, work on whatever coping strategies or skills you have to help yourself to remain calm and relaxed. That doesn't mean you can never express your worries or concerns with your child, but you just want to make sure that you show them how do you deal with this in an appropriate and healthy way.
Okay. What are some of the biggest, real quick, fears that you see right now, or anxieties with kids going back to school?
A lot of it is just, I haven't seen anything atypical, just because I think kids are sort of more back into the routine than they have been in a few of the previous years.
Yeah.
A lot of it is just sort of the newness of it. And what is it going to be like this year? Am I going to like my teachers? So much right now I'm just hearing the standard run-of-the-mill concerns that makes me feel like, oh, okay, we're back to a place where, kids get over things pretty quickly. So they're sort of more normal now. A lot more I'm seeing them actually look forward to the structure of school again. And actually, I've had a few kids, I'm like, are you worried about going back? And they're like, no, I kind of need to be around my friends again and have more to do.
All right, good. That's good to hear that, a lot of kids are ready to go back. If people want to find out more information about you, or I know you do a lot on social media, he posts a lot of great tips. Where can they find that?
So I'm available on my website, psychworksllc.com, and I'm also on TikTok at PsychWorks Clinic LLC. So you can find me on there, as well as Instagram and PsychWorks Clinic as well.
You can always find our stories here on YouTube, but go ahead and tap subscribe. That way you're always in the know.